Coming home was always a strange mix of comfort and chaos. My mom was already in full Thanksgiving mode when I arrived, buzzing around the kitchen like a turkey on caffeine, muttering about oven temperatures, while my dad stood guard over a turkey as if it might run off any second. "Elliot!" my mom called, yanking me into a hug before I could get my shoes off. "You're just in time to help your father. He's been fussing about this turkey for an hour." Dad shrugged. "It's called cooking, son. You should try it sometime." I grinned, feeling like I'd barely left. Family gatherings had this way of shrinking you back down to your teenage self. I got settled, swiping a sliver of leftover pie from the counter while my parents bickered over gravy, when a thought hit me. Maybe it was time to dig through the old stuff upstairs. My room was a museum of teenage memories, questionable mementos, stacks of yearbooks, and then, right there, a folded piece of paper with a tiny heart drawn in the corner. Katie Marshall's handwriting. Katie had been my high school sweetheart, and her note was exactly the kind of over-the-top optimism I'd always loved about her. "In 10 years, we'll still be here. You'll have a job that lets you write all day, and I'll have my own cozy bookshop so we can do coffee breaks together and make people jealous." I laughed, picturing it. Our own bookshop and coffee paradise, the two of us living out this romantic literary life side by side. We even gave her dream shop names, Katie's Classics, or if she were feeling generous, Chase's Chapters. High school me might have thought soulmates were sappy, but if he'd believed in them, Katie would have been it. Nostalgia got the better of me, and I ended up heading into town, promising my mom I'd be back in time to help taste test the stuffing. After grabbing a coffee, I wandered around, remembering all the spots we used to hang out. The movie theater, the bookstore, places that hadn't changed a bit. That's when I saw her, right in front of the grocery store, wrestling a bag of flour and some carrots out of her trunk. "Katie?" I called, catching her attention. She turned and her face lit up with recognition. "Elliot Chase," she laughed, setting down the bag. "What are you doing back here?" "Thanksgiving," I said, grinning, and looking for people carrying groceries, apparently. We both laughed, and after a moment's hesitation, I pulled out the note, unfolding it and showing her. "Recognize this?" She squinted at it, her eyes widening as she read. "Oh my gosh, I actually wrote this? A bookshop?" She cracked up, shaking her head. "Well, I've got the books, just not the shop. I'm working at the library these days, organizing book drives and reading groups. Guess the dream morphed into a library card." We started walking together, not really planning where we were going. Katie told me about her actual life, how she'd ended up with one daughter who had an obsession with picture books and the habit of hiding them in every corner of the house. "So, no bookshop where we can have coffee together?" I asked, nudging her shoulder. "Nope," she smirked, giving me a sidelong glance. "But I did manage to turn my house into a mini library, thanks to my daughter. It's more chaotic than cozy, but hey, dreams evolve." I laughed, feeling relieved that the old Katie was still there, just with a little more practical seasoning. Under the grocery bags and sensible cardigan, there was still that same spark that had me picturing a shared future with her, once upon a time. We spent the next half hour strolling around, revisiting our teenage ambitions that were somehow as sweet as they were ridiculous. She kept glancing back at the note, and I could tell it had pulled her into the past too. "Can you believe we used to think life would be so simple?" she asked. "Yeah, we really had it all figured out," I chuckled, in a totally wrong teenage kind of way. Eventually, she looked at her watch and sighed. "It's been really nice, Elliot, but I have to pick up my daughter from school. Mind if I come along?" I blurted before I could stop myself. She hesitated, then nodded with a smile. We walked the last few blocks in a quiet, comfortable silence. When we reached the school, she stopped me at a distance. I watched as her daughter ran up, leaping into her arms with the kind of enthusiasm only a kid can manage. The little girl looked just like Katie, and I couldn't help but smile. Katie turned to wave, and I gave her a thumbs up, not really trusting myself to say anything. That evening, back at my parents' house, I joined my family at the dinner table, feeling a strange, quiet gratitude. My mom was fussing over the mashed potatoes, my dad telling the same Thanksgiving story he'd told a dozen times, but everything felt different somehow. My mom looked at me, noticing the faraway smile on my face. "You seem thoughtful? Something on your mind?" I shrugged, picking up my fork. "Just grateful, I guess, for a lot of things." Dad smirked, nudging me. "Maybe we'll get you settled down one of these days, huh?" I chuckled, shaking my head. "Nah, I think I'll stick to travel for now. But hey, pass the pie. Gotta keep my options open." Thanks for joining me on this little journey down memory lane. Sometimes revisiting the past brings a few laughs and maybe a few unexpected feelings. If you enjoyed the story, hit that like button, subscribe, and join me for more adventures and maybe a few awkward encounters. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep laughing, and remember, life's always better with a side of pie. See you soon.